Storm Agnes has now cleared away. It's a fine start, but then it turns wet and windy from the west later. I'll have all the details of that and more coming up on Good Morning Britain.
Thursday,
The season, it's now cleared away. Here's the details. So the reason the storm was named is because it was causing widespread disruption, as it did across large parts of northern England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales. This was the whole band of rain sequence that came through yesterday overnight, and it's now clearing away from the north. In its wake, these strong winds followed on behind, and the peak gusts of wind that we saw were up to 84 miles an hour at Capel, but widely. Morning to you. Storm Agnes swept across the UK yesterday and overnight last night. It is now clearing away from the north of Scotland, but if we look at our latest pressure sequence, we see our next area of low pressure bringing more rain overnight tonight, but nowhere near as wet or as windy as the conditions we had yesterday. And then signs that high pressure brings something a little more settled. Things pan out as we head through the next 7 days into the weekend. Well, let's take a look. So for Scotland, Northern Ireland and for northern areas of England, it's pretty much anywhere north of Leeds. That's the dividing line. We look at our temperatures. So here's where we are for average for the time of year in the north, around about 16. And our temperatures sit around about average as we head through the next 7 days, maybe a little below. Percentage chance of rainfall across the north of the UK. So how likely are we to see wet weather across the north? Actually, it doesn't look too bad. It's largely dry because any rain that comes in is further south. Today, that rain's now cleared away, largely fine into the weekend, but wet weather returns into next week. Fortunes further south for England and Wales as we head through the next 7 days. Well, again, if we look at our temperatures compared to average, it was fairly mild, actually, at the start of the week. Now temperatures around about average as we head through the rest of the week into the weekend. Maybe a little cooler as we head into next week. And then here's our percentage chance of rainfall. So actually, it is largely dry today. Later on, we see that wet weather moving in. Actually, some decent spells of sunshine to end the week and into the weekend. There's a chance later on Sunday, we see an increased risk of showers. Some showers coming through on Monday, but then there's that high pressure building into next week. So the outlook into next week is largely fine and dry with some decent spells of sunshine. Yes, very impressive landing into the wind. But yes, the impacts from Storm Agnes, which was largely yesterday and overnight last night across northern areas, were trees down, roads then closed, some power outages, some disruption and damage, but is now cleared away. So this is a sequence of what happened yesterday. The whole band of rain arrived across the southwest, marched across northern areas of the UK largely, so Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern areas of England, strong gusty winds driving that as well. And winds peaked at 84 miles an hour for our gusts across Capel. Now, here's why. The jet stream, a very powerful jet stream driving weather systems across the Atlantic, bringing successions of wind and rain. That continues as we head through the next few days. But for today, it's not as windy as it was yesterday. It's a bright, breezy start first thing. The latest satellite and radar shows largely dry conditions first thing. And as we head through the day, the winds that are very gusty first thing start to ease off. So sunny spells, a breezy afternoon, largely dry. Top temperatures around about 20 degrees, but with rain moving in from the west later. And for me, it's all about the pictures, and my weather graphics will show you that this was the scene yesterday as Storm Agnes swept across the country. The radar showing heavy rainfall, and behind it the winds picked up and gusted up to 84 miles an hour. Some disruptions through northern and western areas, power outages, ferries cancelled, trees down. But the storm has now cleared. So the outlook for today is one of a windy... Good morning to you. Storm Agnes has now cleared away from the UK. The winds are starting to ease. So a bright, breezy day ahead. Nothing as windy as it was yesterday, with some rain later on. But this is the latest satellite and radar. Cloudy skies for many of us, some outbreaks of rain, just some light showers through western areas. But for most of us, it is dry. So blustery winds from the southwest, gusty conditions. But like I said, nothing as windy as yesterday. And temperature-wise, we're looking between 17 and 20 degrees, pretty much average for the time of year. But a band of rain moves in from the west later this evening and overnight tonight.